then we're starting to not worry about larger details. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a question, I guess, for Keith. My understanding was, I mean, we've got all the lights connected by fiber.
Yep.
I guess my simple mind thought that the reason we did that was so that the cameras could develop could keep traffic flowing. So, but that's not the case. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. So the cameras, right? So when you have the cameras up there, right, we have boxes that look and say, okay, I've got cars stacked in those boxes. When I get this car comes into that box, it lets the computer know, hey, I got a vehicle there. So we need to start the countdown to move traffic, to move the light, so that way that vehicle can move through, right? And sometimes we have what's called, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. But anyways, as more cars stack up, you give a longer time queue to get all those cars through, right? And so it stacks up when you do the cameras. But when you go to the traffic timing, right, you have to take that out because now you're moving these cars that are blocks down the road, right, trying to get them through all these green lights. And so that's where the timing comes into play because you look at how long does it take those vehicles to get to that next light? When does that light need to be green so you can start moving that platoon of cars all the way through and hopefully you're getting them on green lights so then that way they can move through. Whereas cameras would conflict with that because they're going to say, hey, I've got a car on my side street, so I need to move that through so those side street cars can come through.
So I guess I'm confused because it sounds to me like we really don't need the fiber.
No, you do.
Because you're just going to time the lights.
Yeah, so but they all have to be connected, right? Before we were trying to go off of clocks, individual clocks, and the clocks didn't keep time together. And so the connection between all of those signals now can be synchronized so they're all on the same time, right? Because if they get off of time, so say this one's 5 seconds difference than this time, then that messes with that platoon coming through because it's thinking, oh, I need to change it this time and it's 5 seconds off.
Okay.
So the connection.
So it almost seems like in Vince's case, he's either gonna have to have the choice of I can make it all the way through all 4 lights, but then I'm gonna have to sit and on Sunday morning and wait for that light. It's kind of a either or situation.
So there's times when you put in, right, you say, we want the timing because we have a high volume of traffic moving through. So that's why we kick it out of that and move it back to cameras. So like on a Sunday morning, we wouldn't keep that timing in place because we know the volume of traffic.
So it can be variable.
Yeah, it can be variable.
Okay.
But the camera's not working, Keith. I'm telling you.
Well, it's working. You just have really bad luck. Consistently, really have consistently. No, there's so we've been looking into that camera because I've been aware of that. And sometimes you get what's called ghost calls where there's not a vehicle there, but yet the camera's picking something up. And so we've been trying to kind of flush through that and see what is really happening with that. Because we get that on different cameras all the time. You're like, okay, there's a little hiccup in the system. We got to figure what's happening at that time. But definitely keep us informed on there because I'm not out there on Sunday mornings.
Colin, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did have a comment. Like say, as we talked about this, and I talked to our legislature that kind of worked with this, and it was we approved it through the city council to get this done. I'm talking to Keith. We just have to get an engineer company to come in and kind of synchronize this, get this going. When we approved it, we need to make that step to get it done down Main Street and down Second East. The light, and so speaking of that, but then the light at Rexburg Motorsports, I have to agree with Vince. There's definitely some problems with that light, and we need to go out and evaluate that, because if you're going northbound, that light will change green, and before you even get through the intersection, you can't get halfway through it and it's turning back to red. And so it's off.
Yeah, no,
It's definitely off there. There's some things we need to work on.
And then are you seeing it just on Sundays? I was like every time. Yeah, that's why we're always like, okay, what do we got happening in that system? That's great in that. Because that's what I've only heard is just Sundays. I haven't seen the other
Sunday's the really bad one because there's absolutely no one going through the other direction, right? There are other times that you have to sit there longer than I think you should based on if the camera recognizes you. but there's enough traffic going through there at other times of the day that it's doing its thing
Yeah.
because it's recognizing other cars, right?
Sunday's a day of rest.
And that camera is taking its rest.
Just kidding.
It's got a favorite.
Can I ask one question too?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
So sorry, was Vince talking about when you're heading by Valleywide through the interchanges? Because I would agree that you get stopped at every one of those lights. So when are you saying that that's going to be more synchronized? Because when I go to work every day, I get stopped at both interchange lights and Pioneer almost every day.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the one you were talking about or not, but yeah, I mean, we're hoping to make improvements on both of them, I think, over time, just try to figure it out to where they all work better. But I go through there too, and some days is definitely worse than others. There are some days that I flow through okay. I'll get stopped at one of them and make it through the other two or whatever. But yeah, it's just kind of variable depending on the traffic and different things. But I think it's something that we're always going to try to be working on and improving.
So
Yes, sir.
understanding Main Street and Second East, will the south interchange along with the two university interchanges be tied in with that as well?
Wait,
Because I would love to see those four tied in together as well.
I don't know. Did you get what he's talking about there, Keith?
Yeah, he's on the south end, right? He's looking at the signal 12th West through the interchange and then Yellowstone and University.
Oh, yeah, down through there, yeah. Okay, yeah, Keith's got to take off. Is there anything else that you needed to ask him real quick before he leaves? No? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to make any comments at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will move to item number 7, which is our staff reports. We'll start with our finance report from Mr. Matt Nielsen.
All right, so we, when I say we, there are a few of us, so Colin and Eric and the mayor have been involved in a few fire department meetings. So what I've done here is this document that's in your packet shows the old way that we used to do the budgeting, and it was pretty brief, about two paragraphs. And so there was just a lot of unknowns through the process, but the good news is we did the budgeting because we were the employers of record. Well, that's switched to the fire district last year, and we just felt like it would be prudent to update that budgeting to really what we want it to be, so that we can all, and when I say all, I'm talking about the 3 joint venture partners, so the fire district, the ambulance district, the city, which of course is City Fire, have an opportunity to look at those budget requests, provide feedback. And so really what this document does is kind of defines the dates when draft budgets need to be given. It provides the times when capital improvement plans, COLAs need to be presented. And then it also has a new process in it that we call target-based budgeting. And so what we want them to do is be very specific about the reporting that they provide back to us in that budget process so that we can see prior years. If they just come in and they show you the budget and there's no history, it's really hard for us to be fully informed. And so it includes things like that. And then it also includes a couple really big changes. One is we're asking them to provide us the percentage and dollar amount increase to the subsidy that is provided by each joint venture partner each year. So instead of just coming back with, hey, this is our budget, they're actually coming back and saying, here's our budget, and we're requesting it to go up 200,000 or 5%. And then it allows each of the entities to take it back to the decision makers who set those budgets, provide input. And then we've also asked that they designate a budget representative from each of the entities to work together through this process. And so basically there's some deadlines. Let's say that we got to the end of the budget process and they had a 10% increase and we said, hey, we want it to be 5%. we're not necessarily going back and saying, cut this, this, and this. We're just saying, this is what we can afford. Come back with a recommendation that's in that target-based approach. So anyways, those are kind of the big things. Another big one is anytime in the operating fund, which is where the biggest cost is, if they were to go over budget, we just subsidized it. Going forward, we're actually saying, hey, if you have a year where you go over budget, we're actually going to include that overage in the next year as part of our budget process. But on the other hand, if they had a great year where they managed their budget well, and maybe they had $100,000 that they spent under budget, we're actually saying, well, let's carry that over, and that can help you to offset some of those cost increases or inflation in the next year. So basically, that's the approach that we're recommending. And then it just kind of describes the different funds that we would ask them to report on. And, we met with them once, and then I actually had a follow-up meeting with Kim, myself, and Troyce and Corey. I think the process should work well, and they've indicated that they're in favor of that approach. Now you just have to have each entity say yay or nay, and hopefully they adopt it as an addendum to the current joint operating agreement. So, any questions?
Any questions from anyone?
I've got a quick question.
Yes.
So you said that you have discussed these particulars with them and
Yes.
they're okay with it. How about Madison County? Are they in favor of this type as well?
Yeah, they were in the board meeting, and they didn't say that they weren't in favor, and I actually worked to help draft it directly with their budget representative, so with the county clerk at the time. And then they have actually since hired a finance person, and I met her over at the fire department as well in our last meeting last Friday actually. So
Who's hired a finance person?
Madison County.
Okay.
Okay. Councilmember Riggins, did you have?
Just as I read through it earlier today, I just thought, do we have a reference, right, as to, they come up with a budget and they say this is what it is, and it could be, and I realize that we could go in and say, well, you gotta, but what will you use as a reference? What will we, the city, use as a reference to know that we're within?
Yeah. Great question. So we'll use two things really. We'll use we'll look at the historical subsidies, right? And then we'll factor in all of these additional budget requests. And then the other big thing is we will look at our forecasting of revenues, which is the real driver. And so when you think about what is paying for public safety, which is police and fire services, it's really sales tax and property tax. Property tax is very stable, sales tax not so much. And so really I think that the key indicator is going to be what your sales tax does, to be quite honest. And then I think the discussion that you'll have as the people that make or set the budget is, that obviously we know there's going to be, we don't know this, I shouldn't say that, but typically there's a little bit of an increase. Some years there may not be if the sales tax drops a lot. But then you can kind of set the priority, right? Like, let's say that we had an extra couple $100,000 available. Do you want to put more of that at a higher percentage to public safety than recreation or parks or those kind of things? And so it's kind of those questions will come into the discussion, I believe, at some point.
Okay. Any other questions? Colin?
Just a couple, working through this, kind of feeling with Matt that this is more of a way to kind of do a better budgeting, and especially in the future as we look at our whole city picture, we're going to have to do it that way, or we can blow it out of the water pretty fast. So I think this is a good idea and good way to approach it as we move forward. My question is when are we going to get the full joint venture agreement finished up?
Updated.
We said we'd do it this time, and it moved, and I know it's a process, and it's going to take a while. I can understand that, but that's something we need to continue to put there and push that, so the whole joint venture agreement is locked in and not just living off of maybes.
Yeah, and I think the big Corey said the big thing that they're waiting for is they're actually I think think it's April, maybe it's May. They actually are going to do what they call a referendum vote, and they can actually opt out of paying Social Security. And so, and they actually had that vote. I helped them administer that maybe 10 plus years ago, and they chose to stay in Social Security. But anyways, they're trying to have that referendum vote, and that can change quite a few things. And so I think that he'd like to get through that vote, figure out what that process is, and then hopefully finalize that contract.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on that? All right.
And I probably should mention, whether you accept it or not, we'll just report that back right to that board, which really has 4 members. I don't know if the 4th member can vote on changes to the contract, though. I can't remember that.
Maybe not, yeah.
But anyways, just so you're aware.
Yeah. All right, so we have this before us then. Is there if there are no other questions or comments, is there a motion to approve this particular joint venture agreement for the fire department?
Mr. Mayor, I would move
I guess it
that.
would be the budgeting and funding language in the, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I would move that we approve the recommendation for budget and funding in the new joint venture agreement.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, seconded by Councilmember Colin Erickson. Let's see. Well, this is the new budget and funding language in the joint venture. It's not really the new joint venture agreement, right? It's
just an addendum for
Yeah.
the budget section.
Okay,
That's
all
it.
right. Just want to make sure we're clear on that. Okay, thank you. Any further? Let's see. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead and recommend this to the fire board. Which, by the way, in our meeting previous to this last one, we voted to call it the fire board instead of the emergency services board. Just that they felt like that was better, Madison Fire Department Board. So, all right, next item is the police facility bond update. We got Assistant Chief Gary Hagan here to give us a little update on that item.
I appreciate
Welcome.
it. Mayor and council, I hope it's pretty quick so you guys can get out of here. So we just have about 5 updates that we're trying to be as transparent with the entire council as we can as far as what we're doing as a committee in meeting every week. And so we'd like to try to give you guys bi-weekly updates of where we're at with this new police facility bond. So we did hold a town hall meeting last Wednesday, March 18th, or sorry, 2 weeks ago on March 18th, where we engaged with community members to answer any questions. Unfortunately, we didn't get a huge turnout. I think there was only 3 that showed up. We definitely wish we could get more people engaged, but that's why we're holding as many of these as we can. We did have an open house on Monday as well at the police department. And again, we didn't have a very good turnout. We had all of our command staff there that were doing tours of the facility to answer questions and again, be as educational and as transparent as we can, because that's something that the public's really been hitting us on. So we do have a few more open houses. One would be scheduled for April 23rd, which is a Thursday, between 4 and 6 p.m. We also have another one scheduled for May 12th from 4 to 6 p.m. And we have a town hall meeting that's tentatively set for Saturday, May 2nd from 4 to 5 p.m. One thing that the committee that we spoke about was having and holding one of these open houses or a town hall meeting on a Saturday would be to give the community an opportunity on a non-work day on their own time to be able to come in and meet with us, and we can answer any questions that they have. This Friday, Chief Rhodes, in collaboration with Headwater and also Portman Square, are creating a virtual video. So they're going to be following Chief Rhodes through the police department. He's going to talk about what we are lacking, and it's going to be an educational video that we can post online to the social media platforms so that they can actually view those from home and they don't actually have to come in and see it in person. which we think will be pretty big, we're hoping, with the community. So we've also recently increased our engagement efforts on our social media platforms. We're offering neighborhood meetings. You might have seen it on the social media platforms, but we're offering neighborhood meetings like we used to do when Councilman Erickson was a lieutenant in community policing. They would do what they would call block parties, and so it's just community engagement. And so we've actually had quite a few people reach out to us saying that they're willing to set something up so that we can come speak with them and engage with them about this bond and answer questions. And so that was actually a pretty big hit. And so I have to thank Matt and Councilman Erickson for coming up with those. We are working on creating a direct mail flyer that we can send to the residents. Was it Cole? Is that who? Yeah. Okay. Cole is working on creating I guess a program that's going to hit just all community members. Before, what we had done was hit mailing routes, and so we had a lot that were in the county that received flyers as well. This will be designated to just the city of Rexburg.
Just city residents. We're gonna
So
try to hopefully not send it out to ones that are like 2 blocks outside the camp vote, right?
Yeah, that was confusing for people.
yeah, so one last update. We did update the site diagram plan. I know this is small, but I'm sure you guys have seen this. What I'm talking about is in a section here, because we have 4 divisions in our department. And for some reason, it was labeled shared, I think it was called shared building space, but we've now labeled that as community policing. So if you do see a difference on that, that is why, so that it reflects each one of our separate divisions. So
Yeah, and then we connected the entry to the parking lot on the north.
correct. Yep.
Everybody kept saying, why is it not connected? So we connected it.
So, this is all the updates that we have for the committee at this time, and like I said, we'll bring more of those updates as we start rolling through the process, because I think we're close to about a month and a half before voting can take place. So is there any questions that I could answer for you? Or is
Anyone
it-
have any questions for?
I just have one
Chief Hagan?
comment. I just have one comment.
Okay.
Just talking to Chief, just so everybody knows on the council and in the audience, when they had the Founders Day, I believe it's called at junior high, the old junior high. A lot of people came through the booth there and talked to him and talked to, I think you were there.
No, I was out of state.
But they were
so.
going through, so he answered a lot of stuff there that Saturday. He said it was very well turned out
Yeah,
there.
that was great.
So that was a really good thing. That's what kind of felt like the next Monday is not very many people showed up here because a lot of questions were answered there. So just for your information.
Fair point. So.
And I just wanted to say, whoever your social media person is, they're awesome. I'm always chuckling when I'm reading fun stuff from them.
Yeah,
Rexburg.
Sam Jekyll is one that primarily does that. So.
Yeah, so, and I really think that video is going to be key, especially where it seems to have trouble getting people into the department so they can see the challenges in the building and the physical space.
Yeah.
So I think going this social media route's a very smart thing. I'm excited to see the video and, of course, the fun comments.
I don't think
Go
Chief
along
Rhodes
with
is that
for-
excited to do the video, but I think
Yeah.
Well,
it'll
the
be
price,
good.
the price of leadership, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Well, just for your information too, for those of you who weren't able to make it to the Farmer Merchant Banquet, Officer Jekyll and the department was honored for their social media. That was they won one of the prizes, I guess you'd say, for social media involvement with the city, which we thought was really cool. Yeah. So, well, thank you,
Mr. Mayor,
Chief Hagan. We appreciate- one more
just
question.
a
Sorry.
comment, I guess.
Comment.
There is some scrutiny about advocating for this bond. There are those who are watching it very, very closely. So just as a caution, be sure that whatever you send out there is approved by whoever
So what
needs to
we,
approve
the
it.
committee has done with Portman Square is they actually
Yeah.
came up with a script of what we should say and be saying so that we don't cross that line into advocating versus educating.
Okay.
And so, and that's also been approved by Spencer. So, yeah, he's going to be very cautious of that Friday. So,
Okay, great. All right, thanks, Gary. Appreciate you. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to item number 8, which is the mayor's business. Just real quick, I think it was suggested in the council meeting last time when I wasn't here to send a letter to the to Doug and Carol Ladle for spearheading that Founder's Day event, and I did get a letter written to them thanking them for that, and so thank you for that suggestion. The America 250 concert, this tickets went on sale today, if you haven't heard, and I think, I haven't looked at the last count, but within not too many hours, we had sold 400 or 500 tickets, so a lot of people are pretty excited about that, so hopefully that's going to continue to roll on and do very well for us. I went to a cloud seeding meeting up in St. Anthony, the High Country Committee that I sit on the board with, and we talked about the water supply. I was going to just circulate this and let you look at it, but we do need to, when you get a chance, we do need to encourage our citizens to conserve water. I know it's been an early spring. A lot of people are, even with my business, calling and saying, hey, we need to get our sprinklers on. Well, we need to encourage people not to jump the gun too much, because any water we use now is just going to be water that's not going to be available later in the summer. And we don't want to have to go to rationing, which could be a real possibility. If you look at this chart, this is the snow water equivalent, and this is kind of the median of where it is right now versus what it should be, and you can see that it's very low. We've got a couple of places where it's not too bad, 62%, but a lot of them 16%, 15%, and some of them are even 0. So there's no snow left really to turn into water. So water is going to be a big issue, and I'll pass that down and let you look at it, and then you can pass it back this way. But one of the things that I'm trying to encourage people is, if they feel like their lawn or whatever is dry, turn on the sprinkler system, soak it down once, and then turn it off again, because you really shouldn't need to water your lawn almost until Memorial Day. I've done that many, many years, and usually I can only water once in between spring and Memorial Day, and I'm fine. So.
Yeah, my wife and I were reading your newsletter today, and you did a nice job on that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was really well done. So.
Okay, well, good. I hope folks will, because the tendency is, once you get your sprinkler system turned on, you just kind of let it go, and it comes on every night or every other night or whatever you've got it set at. You really don't need to do that early in the season. It's really kind of a waste of water. So until the lawn starts turning kind of that grayish color that you can tell it's really dry, that's when you need to water it, but not until. So, yes, Colin.
So that's great information. Isn't there a date that we don't want them to start? Right?
Well, April 15th is kind of our typical date that,
I've had some ask me. So
yeah, you want to, that's.
Read your meters.
Yeah, that's when the meters are read, and that can affect the cost that you pay for sewer. So, we just want people to be aware of that and be very cautious in using too much water early on, because we want to be able to conserve it for the later months when we really need it. So, okay, that's all we'll say on that. We do have a couple of proclamations to read. One is the April as Fair Housing Month. I've asked Councilmember Tejan to read that, just so that you don't get sick of hearing me, because I've got another one to read. So, Councilmember Tejan, would you go ahead and read this proclamation?
Yes, give me just a second. Just looking at that picture you sent. I'm sending it to Brianna so she can see it. Okay, April as Fair Housing Month. Whereas April 2026 marks the 58th anniversary of the passage of Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, commonly known as the Federal Fair Housing Act, and whereas the Idaho Human Rights Commission Act has prohibited discrimination in housing since 1969, and whereas equal opportunity for all, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, disability, familiar status, or national origin, is a fundamental goal of our nation, state, and city, and whereas equal access to housing is an important component of this goal, as fundamental as the right to equal education and employment, and whereas housing is a critical component of family and community health and stability, and whereas housing choice impacts our children's access to education, our ability to seek and retain employment options, the cultural benefits we enjoy, the extent of our exposure to crime and drugs, and the quality of health care we receive in emergencies, and whereas the laws of this nation and our states seek to ensure such equality of choice for all transactions involving housing, and whereas ongoing education, outreach, and monitoring are key to raising awareness of fair housing principles, practices, rights, and responsibilities, And whereas only through continued cooperation, commitment, and support of all Idahoans can barriers to fair housing be removed. Now therefore, I, Jerry Merrill, Mayor of Rexburg, do hereby proclaim April 2026 to be Fair Housing Month in the city of Rexburg.
All right, thank you very much. I will sign this if the council feels like ratifying this. So do I hear a motion to ratify this fair housing proclamation?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve this Fair Housing Proclamation, Proclamation 2026-01.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Councilmember Riggins. All right, any further discussion or questions on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will go ahead and sign that. All right, the next one is the Arbor Day proclamation. And that one goes as follows. This is proclamation number 2025-02. Actually, is this supposed to be 2026-02? I would guess probably.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, we'll just make that change. All right. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving up paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, I, Jerry Merrill, the mayor of the city of Rexburg, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the city of Rexburg, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations, adopted by the city of Rexburg, state of Idaho, on this first day of April 2026. All right, is there any questions about this proclamation?
So this isn't we're doing Flower Day? Is that how you say it?
Flower Day?
Is that how you
actually,
say it? That's in May, right?
In May, yeah. This year, we're actually going to do both an Arbor Day celebration and the Flower Day. We've kind of always done Flower Day, which is a conglomeration of Arbor Day and Flower Day, because it's too early to plant flowers in April, right? So we've kind of put it off, and they give you that option for Arbor Day to put it off to when it fits your climate. But this year, we received that tree grant, if you recall, $1 million for planting trees, and so we are, on the 24th, we're actually doing a service project over at the Don Joe field. We've got about 65 trees, pretty good sized trees coming in, ordered, and we're doing a service project where the Madison football team has expressed an interest, well, at least their coach has expressed an interest in having the football players come and do some community service. So they're planning to come that day. I would encourage any of you to come that day. And I've also put it on Just Serve as to have people come and help us plant those trees and spread mulch. And we're going to put a row of trees all along the, over there at the Donjo where you've got that kind of empty field. We're going to put a row of trees all the way along between the field and the medical clinic, and then it'll curve and go down the road. So it'll kind of be a buffer for those apartment complex too.
That's April 24th.
April 24th. We'll start at 1 o'clock. Probably the majority of the work won't get rocking and rolling until maybe a couple hours later. We'll try to have all the materials and equipment, everything there. We'll go probably from 1 till 6. It's a big job, but we're hoping that we'll get a lot of volunteers, a lot of strong young men and women to come help us, and hopefully we can get a lot done in a small amount of time. So anyway, we're doing two. We're actually doing an actual Arbor Day celebration this year, and we will also do the Flower Day later on in May when we plant the flowers. And one of the things that I would like to encourage people is maybe get together with your neighborhood associations or your neighbors I've asked the Parks Department to, when they order the flowers to plant on Main Street, that they try to find flowers that are red, white, and blue, so it goes with the America 250 celebration. And I think it would be fun if, just in your neighborhoods, you kind of encourage that as well. So we can kind of turn the whole city into a red, white, and blue city. And we'll put out a little bit more information on that too. But anyway, those are some of the things that we've got going on. And this proclamation actually needs to be ratified as well. So do I hear a motion to ratify this Arbor Day proclamation?
Make a motion that we move to accept the proclamation number 2026-2 of the Arbor Day proclamation.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Tejan. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We will go ahead and sign these and get those on the way. All right, let's move on. Let's see, now I lost my agenda. Is this, no, hang on. Oh, no, it's right in front of me here. I got too many papers going on here. All right. Item number 9 is, 9A is a planning and zoning recommendation to approve a plat amendment for Yellowstone Heights condominium development located at 243 Ella Lane. This is amendment to add 6 condominium units to the existing plat. Mr. Parkinson, will you tell us a little bit about this item?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I was gonna show you first where this is located at, so you knew. This is the property right here. We have, originally, this was designed to put 2 12-unit buildings on this side. These have been built. Then they were gonna put a 12-unit and a 6-unit on this side. They came in, asked for a zone change so they could come in and change this from 12 and 6 to 12 and 12. So it's adding 6 additional units. And these are condominiums, but to do this, they do need to amend that plat. And that is the one that she showed you. And now you can see that there is a 12-unit one and another 12-unit one. Staff has reviewed this. They meet all the requirements. Most of this was already designed. The roads, they've all had their approvals from ITD, from the city, sewer and water, all meets the requirements. And planning and zoning has recommended it to you for approval.
Okay, is there any, oh yes, go ahead.
Alan, you may have misspoke. This did not require a zone change.
They did a zone change earlier, after they had built the 2 12-unit ones on the south. They came back to planning and zoning and city council and changed it from MDR1 to MDR2 so that they could then switch this from the 6-unit to the 12-unit.
Okay, and that we've approved that.
You've approved all of
Okay.
that, yes.
So this is just the plat amendment?
This is just
right?
accepting the plat.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Thank you for that clarification.
I just have
Yes.
one, probably not a question, the only thing I worry about, and it's not probably gonna stop me, the only thing I worry about is the 7 parking spots across the street. Cause this street's gonna definitely go through. It's gonna add in all the stuff to the east, clear back there. Like I say, counting, you have 30-something parking stalls on this side anyway, so most people are gonna stop there. I just worry about the 7, to make the zone right, to do this, they have to have 7 on the south side of the street.
Correct.
So the people's crossing across that street, so, there is gonna be a crosswalk right there,
There will be a crosswalk up where the sidewalk crosses,
okay?
yes.
That's the only thing that kinda gave me a little bit of
Yeah.
worry.
And the code calls for anything within 500 feet. They
Yeah.
can have parking on other property, on other lots, but this is all considered one lot, it's just split with the road.
It just worried me a little bit because that street's gonna be a major one, cause it goes,
In the
there's a lot
future.
of property to the east, it's gonna go right down that street and right out there, but
Yes.
like I say, they do have adequate on the other side, most people can park there.
Is this, I'm trying to remember, is this street planned to, it's not gonna go across the road tracks and connect
No,
over there?
that's
yeah.
the one out of
It's-
Thompson
It's
Farm.
it's a cul-de-sac on the end,
This
right?
one will continue to the
That would really
east.
bother me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would make a big
Yeah.
difference, yeah.
That one would end up requiring a stoplight when they put that one in.
Yeah,
But
okay,
this one will not.
okay. All right.
Just
Okay.
let us know there's lots of.
Any other questions or comments on this item from anyone? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve this plat amendment. Is there such a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the plat amendment for Yellowstone Heights condominium development.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Colin Erickson. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll move on. Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. We appreciate your help there. All right, item number 10, we have no second readings and we have no third readings. So that brings us to the consent calendar, which is the minutes from the March 9th and March 18th, 2026 meetings, and the approval of paying the City of Rexburg bills. Is there any questions or comments about any bill items or minute corrections or anything like that? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve the consent calendar and pay our bills.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilmember Reeser. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will go ahead and enter the minutes and pay the bills. Just one quick thing, really quick, is I found this picture as I was going through some of the desk drawers in my office that hadn't been gone through for a long time. Councilmember Erickson, do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
This is,
In Porter Park.
yeah, this is the old Porter Park pool and the slide that was there.
That slide didn't last very long.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can pass that down if you want. I just thought it was interesting and kind of fun to look at.
I got quite a few cuts on that slide.
Yeah, it was a little rough. You had to be kind of tough. Yeah, it was. So anyway, well, thanks everyone for all you do, and I appreciate all of you, and we will stand adjourned until next time. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Mrs. Geddes. Yeah.
Recording stopped.
That's my understanding.